everybody. Spring is in full swing. It is early May and things are going great. I'm going to show you today what we're trying to grow in the spring this year. We've been dialing in our springtime game over the years and got some varieties, some particular crops that actually seem to do well. So I'm going to show you a couple today. All right, over here we got a bunch of cabbages. The variety is 0.1. So this guy, they're all these 0.1 really fast cabbages, good for springtime. I really like to slice them in half down the middle, and that's redundant, and throw them on the grill. And really nice addition to any meal. Over here we got some super red lettuce that is doing really well. I will put the name here. I'll have to look it up, I don't remember it offhand. Some other lettuce here. Drop a name on that one. It's got this cool coloring to it. Looks really happy. Over here we got some cauliflowers. This is an early snowball. We haven't had much luck with brassicas like cauliflower and broccoli in particular in the springtime. They just don't seem to finish in time. But we are trying because we know it's possible. So these plants are a little farther along than they usually are for us. This guy suffered a little bit of damage, physical damage, but otherwise he's doing well. This thing though, is pretty big. We started these from seed, and this is bigger than the ones we've seen at the local nursery, like as starter plants, so pretty happy about it. Hopefully we'll actually get something. Definitely toss this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see what becomes of all of this, because we will be posting updates. All right, over here we got no idea if I'm saying this right. Well, I know how to pronounce bok choy. These are bok choys. They're doing pretty well. Just starting to grow, just starting to make little stalks. And over here, anyhow, the pronunciation issue is with this guy here. Chijimasai, that's what we've been calling it. We have no idea if we're right. Yeah, these guys are doing great. They're just a really tasty little springtime crop, kind of like a spinach. You can eat it leaf by leaf. You can harvest the whole thing whenever you want. Over here we got another springtime crop of that description, yadfa. This guy's actually really cold tolerant, so you don't have to worry about it as much. It's a good one to plant out early. These just got transplanted, so they're not very big yet. So there you go. There's all of them together. So this bed will probably be completely grown out and done with in a month or so. Like, we might leave a couple of these plants as we intercrop our usual Maytime, late May plantings like tomatoes, squash, that kind of thing, because we want this space, right? So these guys are just temporary guests until the soil and the air gets warm enough for the other plants to hack it in this bed. All right, next we got a bunch of peas, sugar snap peas. Not very big yet, but it's still early. There's one of the bigger ones there. We'll tie a low line for these guys to grab onto soon. Peas are really good climbers, and they really like vertical lines. So we already got some horizontal ones here. We're gonna add more of those, but more importantly, we're gonna put lines straight up and down because they climb a lot better that way. Here's a carrot hanging out from last year. That's just in there for fun. It probably won't be very good. Here's a bunch of spinach up. Just direct sown, not very big yet, but germinating pretty well. There's kale on the other side in the middle over there. Here is a couple rows of radishes here. These were all direct sown. We need to thin them probably, or we may not, because we did leave a good amount of space in between the rows, so as they push off each other, they'll have the opportunity to go that way. So we may leave them as is and just pick some small to thin them out that way. Here's a volunteer lettuce, seeded from last year. A couple more over there. Here's a bunch of direct sown lettuce that we got. Not very big yet. I'll walk you over here. This is our last area where we have more peas and some kales. This is a scarlet kale. It's another one of those super dark red lettuces. Here's the whole bed. This bed we sometimes add vinyl plastic onto. You can see we got a frame on it to make a little hoop house out of. And then you may notice these little collars around some plants. Those are slug deterrents. We got some other slug deterrent stuff. They're a big issue for us here. We do throw sluggo down, but there's just so many of them here. And here's the perennial chive that just lives in this bed. We've harvested from it many times already this year. I like to just eat them straight, you know, I just grab one and eat it. But you can see it's already flowering. That's how early this thing was. All right, well, that's it for today. If you thought this was cool, go ahead and toss us a like. If you want to see this garden in full swing later on, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and check in with us, huh? All right, bye. Hey, welcome to episode 2 of our spring garden tour series. Whew. All right, so I think this is the first bed we started at last time. Things are moving along pretty nicely. We got some 0.1 cabbages to start with here. These guys are a really fast cabbage. This one, I know it's hard to see, but it looks like it's gonna start to head up pretty soon if you look way down into the middle there. Pretty sweet. Over here, we have a red lettuce that I keep forgetting the name of, even though I forgot the name of it last time and had to put it in the video. So I'll just do that again. Maybe I'll remember in a second, who knows. Here is a speckled guy that I believe is part of a mix, so it is an unknown variety. Apologies there, but it's doing pretty well. Moving along, we have in the same bed these Red Express cabbages. Here's one, here's another one that's doing really well. And then we have our cauliflower. This is early snowball. It is a variety that's supposed to do well around here and actually finish before the summer heat sets in. You'll see it's a lot bigger than last time. It's still nice and dark green, but we don't see any signs of it heading up yet, hopefully soon. We have these other little ones though that were much smaller in during the last video. I think that was about a week ago, maybe not even, maybe 5 days? I don't know, I don't remember the date. Anyhow, they're catching up, which is a good thing because they don't have very long before the heat sets in. There's another early snowball. Moving over to here, we've got a bunch of radishes. You'll see some of them are starting to throw off some roots. Hopefully by the next video, you know, we'll be pulling some of these. We could now because you can eat the greens as well, you know, so that kind of takes pressure off the root being so big, but these guys are moving and grooving. A couple of volunteer lettuces from last year are in there, so we're just letting them be. Maybe we'll thin the radishes around them. Like, wow, this one's probably gonna be one of the first ones we pick. It's nice and big. What's cool about radishes is the vegetation doesn't actually get all that big before you can pull the root and have it be a good size. Here's another bed that we showed last episode. This is the, I'm gonna call it Chijimasai until somebody tells me how it's pronounced. Maybe I have it right, who knows? That's how it's spelled. This stuff is great. You can pull it leaf by leaf. It tastes really good and it's supposed to be very, very nutritious. You can see they're a lot darker than they were last time. They've had more time in the ground, obviously. But man, this bed looks a lot different, I feel like, than last time. I'm gonna throw footage from the last episode side by side here. Yeah, see? So it should look a lot better now. There we go. Woo, editing. Okay. So this is a yodfa. This is another thing that you can pick leaf by leaf, and it also forms a woodier part here, the stem. I say woody, it's not really, I just mean more fibrous. If you get this, anything close to immature, like it doesn't have a seed
It's not forming seeds yet, it's not forming flowers. You know, it's probably going to be tender enough to cook and eat. Really, you're after the leaves. They're a delicious texture. They go really good on burgers, if you can believe that. You can see, like, this is big enough for us to pick already, so the pressure's off. Like, as soon as we're ready to drop our tomatoes in, which will be any day now, we can pick this guy, eat it, feel great about it being a spring crop, and have that space. Here, I don't know if we showed you these guys last time. They're still really small. This is a round bed, circular bed from stones that we made. These are onions, and they are not really doing all that much. Here are the peas. I wish they were growing a little faster. I think it's been too hot for them, actually. Like, some years in zone 5, you just don't really get spring. I would argue we did get spring this year, but it was a pretty warm spring, so the peas aren't happy, but that's fine. That means other things will be. Here's the other hoop house bed that we showed you last time. You can see the peas in here are actually doing a little better. They're ready to climb, so we're gonna have to drop them a line to climb pretty soon. We have some kales. This is a scarlet kale that's doing fairly well. It's been a little hot for them too, but kales are cool. Year 1, they're gonna grow throughout the summer, no problem. They won't go to seed on you. They're a biennial, I believe. We got some more lettuce types down here. They're getting pretty big. Like, we're gonna be able to start harvesting a few leaves off each one and get a salad that way for a while before we can harvest whole plants. That's just around the corner. This is a bunch of volunteer lettuce that we left. We won't hesitate to harvest all that at once for a salad because it was free. Didn't even have to plant it. What are you? I can't remember what you are. Are you sorrel? You might be sorrel. You're a chive, you're flowering still. But we still eat the non-flowering parts because it's delicious. We have an A-frame trellis over this bed. We like to use it for cucumbers, but we also got to rotate our crops every now and again. We'll probably throw cucumbers in here again this year because there's a bunch of dill coming up. And in addition to both of those things making for a good pickle, they're actually companion plants as well. So we got to weed this before we get our cukes in, and we'll add some compost, but stay tuned to see more on that. So there you have it. Those are some of the annuals. Keep an eye out for a video that we drop on the perennials that are coming up. We got a lot more garden that I haven't even shown you yet over that way, but we're still developing the property here. It's a work in progress, you know? So throw us a like. Subscribe if you want to see more and see how we develop the property. It's a beautiful day. Let's check out the garden. Here's the bed we usually start at. We got a whole bunch of cauliflowers here, getting bigger. We got cabbages. We got lettuce. So here's our early snowball cauliflower. It's just starting to head up. I hope that it can finish before it gets too hot. This guy, no head yet. The leaves are starting to get really tight. This is a red express cabbage. I guess you could say it's starting to head up. These are quicker cabbages called .1s. Here is some super cool looking lettuce. It's called Black Hawk. I've been harvesting from it as often as I can get away with. It's still getting to be a good size. Here is another lettuce we have from a wild garden mix. What's going on in here? This is a lettuce called Butter Crunch. It's a really nice lettuce for sandwiches. like everything else, we've just been harvesting leaves from the outside instead of harvesting the whole head at once, but it's getting to be time where maybe we'll start picking some of these whole heads at once. They're nothing huge or anything, but they're nice, and we got a lot of them. Over here we have our bok choys. These are mini bok choys, so they are, there you go, bok choy, small. They're about as big as they're supposed to get, so we should probably harvest these soon. See, it looks pretty nice. That one. There's a little bit of flea beetle damage on them. We did finally spray to control those. Spinosad, if you're wondering. I feel like these guys are probably gonna bolt, so we should go ahead and take them out, I think. This is a nice leafy green that's similar to spinach. You pick it leaf by leaf, called chijimasai. These are nice and big, even though we've been harvesting from them, picking those outer leaves and eating those. These are yotfas, a similar situation. Leafy green that you can pick leaf by leaf, and you can eat the stems. These are just kind of small. This guy we actually harvested 2 giant leaves from already, so it's growing more. This bed here we planted some purple potatoes, and they are up and at 'em. Here's the garlic. This is a spring garlic. We didn't get to plant these in the fall. We just ran out of time or didn't have the bulbs really. So we're gonna see what we can get just from planting them in the spring. Got some more potatoes over this way. Not that, that's dandelion. See, we always have weeding to do here. Take you over to the asparagus, which we haven't really harvested any from. We're just letting it grow and be healthy so that we can harvest more in future years. If you've never seen asparagus growing, this is what it does eventually. It kind of ferns out, makes these very little leaves, gets energy that way to send back to the root crown. That one crown that didn't come up finally did, and the spears are comically tiny. They're super thin. To give you a comparison, here's another one. Just super wimpy. We'll see if it does anything. In this bed we have peas and kale in the middle. It's starting to get to be a good size. Looks really good. Peas are going a little slow this year, not sure why. I think it's just that they haven't had that cool period that they really like. The heat's kind of already here. We did finally drop them a line though. They're starting to climb. They might have to be pulled out to make room for something else. They're just not going fast enough. But that's okay. That's a row of spinach. We'll see how big it gets before we have to pull it out, because it's gonna get too hot for it. Here is the radish bed that's been pretty exciting this year. Radishes are super reliable for us. Here is the really fast variety that we have. Man, maybe we can pick a different angle so you don't have the shadows. Okay. These are called French breakfast. And they really push out of the ground for a radish. Here, let's pick one. That's what they look like. That's about as big as they're supposed to get. They're really small, quick radish. Just a good thing to put in your beds before your summer crops. The other variety we have is called Easter egg. Here's one. it's a nice little radish. That's about as big as they get too. They can get bigger, but you take the risk of them getting woody if you let them go that long. We like to pick them around this size and they stay nice and tender. We eat the greens too. Here's your side by side. See, this has some bug damage in it. Usually the radishes don't get hit by that too badly, but every now and again. You can see we have some lettuce that came up in between the rows from seed. We'll probably pull that soon, just have a free little bit of lettuce. And we have some that we planted over this way. Some arugula in there. We have another bed actually over this way where we have bigger arugula. Here we go. Yeah, this bed, I don't know if I showed it in previous videos or not because it was transplanted as a successional bed. It wasn't all that interesting compared to the other stuff, but things are starting to get pretty big here. Nice arugula. Here is a tomato that we transplanted recently, looking a little sad, but it'll get nicer. Here's another one. That's a sun gold, super popular variety. We have found other tastier tomatoes though, so we're gonna hope that they do just as well. This one right here is a good example. Orange Peruche is probably the tastiest tomato I've ever had. Better than sun gold in my opinion, though sun gold is good. All right, let's head over to this last bed, hoop house bed. Let's see, still got a bunch of volunteer lettuce in here to pick. I've been picking whole plants to like thin it out and keep getting more. It's been working pretty well. See, the peas in this bed are actually doing a little better. They're climbing. We dropped them a line. They're gonna climb up onto this frame here and just do what they can. Got some red kales in there that are doing well. I got some lettuces that are not growing too fast. It's getting a little hot for them, but they're being good sports. Here's a really nice chive over here. Flowering really strong right now. You can see it's pretty popular with the pollinators as well. I notice a lot of smaller pollinators really like the chive. This is the old strawberry patch. It needs to be weeded again, but you can see strawberries are on the way. Whole bunch of them. This one's pretty big. Here's the comfrey that we've shown you in other videos. Always a really popular spot for big bees. I hear a lot of buzzing right now. This thing is just constantly making new blooms. It looks fantastic. I'm gonna bring it over to the other one because it's even more popular with the bees right now. Hey, buddy. Buzz, buzz. This thing just keeps churning out new flowers over and over again. It's a really nice plant. See, here's one that's on the way in. Yeah, this thing goes for a long time. It's feeding all sorts of early bees. All right, we'll end it over here. So this is a new bed that we're still working on. You can see it's not even completely framed out. There's a bunch of mulch there that's been aging in place. And this side we did remediate for this year. So we added a bunch of compost and we figured, like, what's a good thing to put in your proprietary bed that you haven't added too much organic matter to? Potatoes. So these are all potatoes coming up. We put them in I'll call it a half trench. And today actually we should probably come through and add soil to them. Generally with potatoes you plant them deep, and when they grow up like this for a couple inches, you go and bury that back with soil. And that gives a larger area to form the tubers. So you get more potatoes. So you got a little trench of them here. These are nice They're a little fancy eating potato. I'll post the name here. It's like a Russian banana or something. Maybe that's it actually. So I have way more impressive squash plants inside, ready to be transplanted. They're getting hardened off. They'll go in the ground any moment. But these are just some that I transplanted quickly from our compost pile. They decided to come up. They have had the heck beat out of them between the cold and bugs, but still, they live, and maybe they'll have a jump start after everything's done. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the video. This has been Garden by the Brook. Garden tour number, who knows? Yeah, we're gonna have to start calling it the summer garden tour, early summer. This is still kind of spring for us though. You wanna help us grow? Throw us a like. You wanna grow with us? Go ahead and subscribe.